Here we go. Friend of the channel, Meek Mill. Friend of the channel. Friend of the channel, Meek Mill. Uh, Meek Mill is well documented
Ugh,
as a
bunny hopper.
yeah. Well, that's one of those things. Michael Rubin dancer is another
Right.
thing. Giving out Michael Rubin hugs. Um, out there with
Mm.
Drake giving out Michael Rubin hugs.
Jeez.
Um, but yeah, he's one of these. I'm a hard, you know, rapper slash social justice advocate at the same time, right? We've covered Meek on this channel before. This is going to be a continuation of the spotlight on Meek Mill and what he does juxtaposed to what he says, because it's very important that people pay attention to stuff like this. But Meek Mill, very Azalea Banks like, went onto social media and talked about how he wants to donate 10% of his music earnings to combat gun violence in the city of Philadelphia.
What?
He said this. So this caught the eye of longtime Meek Mill adversary and troll, and just troll overall, DJ Academics, who called hypocrisy on this thing that on what Meek Mill had to say here. So this article here says Meek Mill offers to donate 10% of his earnings to combating gun violence in Philadelphia. DJ Academics responds. Meek Mill wants to work with the city of Philadelphia to contribute 10% of his music earnings to fighting gun violence in his hometown. Reflecting on the death of local rapper Fat G's on Twitter, Meek explained that he wants to sign a contract to commit to the idea. Despite the good nature of the post, DJ Academics called him out for the violent lyrical content of his music. Quote, I'm going to do a public contract with the city of Philadelphia where 10% of my music earnings go to the city of Philadelphia to combat gun violence in our city. I'm going to start this movement. PIP, I think he meant RIP. RIP Fat G's. I want to do, and he needs to get his stuff spell checked before he hits send. I want to do a contract, the city of Philadelphia, Meek wrote on Twitter. In response, academics fired back. Rap about gun violence to increase violence in the inner cities by 400%, then pledge a measly 10% of your earnings from said rapping to combat the same violence your music just promoted. Wow, this guy is a saint. Fat G's was shot and killed in Philadelphia on Sunday night after a passenger inside a vehicle opened fire on him. Police have yet to make any arrests in the case and are offering $20,000 on the suspected shooter. On Monday, Meek also labeled the city a, quote, terrible place for black people to live and noted that you see too much death. Check check out his latest post referencing Fat G's below. I'm, I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that.
I
Um,
mean, it's unbelievable.
Meek, Meek and academics have been feuding for a long time. Earlier this month, Meek appeared to threaten academics on Twitter. Be on the lookout for future updates on Meek Mill on Hot New Hip Hop. So, DJ Academics called out Meek Mill for hypocrisy, given his lyrics. And Meek is talking about donating 10% of his earnings to combat gun violence in Philadelphia. He wants to sign a contract to do this. And on top of that, he talked about how the city of Philadelphia has become too difficult for black people to live in because there's too much violence. Um, go.
I mean, what? So, right now I'm looking at lyrics from Meek Mill
Yeah.
last year, 2023, from the song Shaq and Kobe featuring Rick Ross. I'm gonna just read this little part here. All right, what is it? What was it at? Um, Anywhere in the trenches, I be active when they play with them. I don't know what he's talking about, but it says statement got retracted when niggas ratted because we sprayed niggas.
You
What is
can't
he
make
talking
this
about?
up.
He said just last year.
Yeah, yeah.
In the album he's actively getting paid for. Part of that 10% is coming from that. And he just said that somebody was ratting. Somebody's retracting statements because they knew that me and my guys killed people. I want to stop gun violence. Bro, that's actively being played in some young bull's head. And now, what do you think these guys are going to do when they're in their perk 30s and, they want a rollie on their wrist like you, Meek? They're going to be on some wild stuff using guns that you talk about so frequently in your songs until this date. The hypocrisy from this guy is
It's
not only
unreal. Yeah.
it's not even laughable anymore. It's to the point where it's like this guy's really crazy. No, he has to be crazy. This guy does not think past the next step. It's like he's skits. It's like he's bipolar, multiple personality disorder. This guy, there's something that's clinically wrong with this human. The types of texting or tweeting that he's been doing over this just period. I saw a video where they were just calling out some of the stuff that he told us, some of the stuff he said, hey, how do y'all listen to my music in Africa? He said that. He tweeted that. He tweeted, hey, y'all think I'm falling off? He tweets stuff that just randomly comes into his head. And so much like Tyrese, I had, issued a court order for him to just have somebody review his text before he send it. As you mentioned, I mean, this guy's not even writing in, coherent grammar. There's ways that you can short speak and still make sense. This guy's all over the map when he's talking. So with all of this being said, I really think the man is slow. I think that's where we're at. And for him to be, as you mentioned, a Reuben dancer, boy, that is great. So for him being a Reuben dancer, him affiliated with, Diddy Puff, him being affiliated with Robert Kraft. I mean, look at his homeboys. I'm the most thuggish dude, bro. Hanging out with human trafficker, allegedly Robert Kraft, allegedly Diddy Puff, and who knows what Ruben's into giving men hugs in private planes. So this your squad. This the chasers, bro. This the chasers. So my whole thing is, man, whatever type of, and by the way, if you guys, now I'm not a DJ Academics advocate, but in this situation, he absolutely roasted his career. He roasted it. And he memeified all of it. And I'll let you go, but he handled this spot on. Called him out for all of his hypocrisies and for all of the lame stuff that he does. And honestly, and academics, he talks to the youth. And basically what he did was like cut at the root any chance this guy has for any type of street cred or what's what do you call it? What an activist type of career he's trying to make, because this guy's clearly playing both sides of the fence, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And if it's unknowingly, like I'm starting to think it is, I think the dude's actually like off.
Mentally off. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about this whole situation, man? Meek Mill trying to pay tithes, trying to wash away his sins by paying 10% back to the hood. What are your thoughts, sir?
Honestly, I don't have too much more to add on to what you said there. Far be it for me to agree with a troll, but academics is 100% correct.
Yeah.
These guys need to start getting held accountable.
Absolutely.
Like, we seem to be very quick to hold like rich white people accountable for stuff. We're very quick to hold corporations accountable for stuff. There's certain things that we have just decided as a society it's okay to hold them accountable to a highly scrutinized degree. Yet when it comes to the double talk and the hypocrisy coming from these rappers, we seem to just let it go. And we want to be able to play both sides. We want to be able to have it both ways. We want to be able to say, hey, man, don't really pay attention to listen to what they say because it's just entertainment. Their lyrics shouldn't govern your life. But then we also want to be able to say, hey, man, they're influential in helping us and they're really impactful in terms of what's going on in the streets. We should be listening to them. You can't have it both ways. If they're truly as influential and impactful as they're being made out to be, then the merit of their work needs to be called into question so that there can be some consistency there. Because at the end of the day, without consistency, without without the merit of what they say being genuine, juxtaposed to the work that they put out, you have nothing. As Scarface once eloquently put it, all I got is my balls, and my word. Your word, if your word means nothing, then you mean nothing to me.
Exactly.
These guys cannot continue to talk about the good that they want to do in the community, but then peddle content and material that is the complete antithesis of that. We have to start holding that stuff accountable. And this would not be a big deal if universally we were all of the understanding that you listen to this music very much in the same way that you go and watch Captain America or you go and watch one of these movies, right? You went to the movie the other day and you went and watched Dune 2. Okay, no one, you when you left that theater, you didn't think that you were going to go outside and hop in your spaceship and fly to a desert planet where you can ride a giant worm, because you understand that that's entertainment and not real. But for whatever reason, we accord a certain modicum of realness to these dudes. These people are entertainers. That's all they are. But we don't understand collectively as a community, as a society, we don't understand that. We accord them authority. And my thing is, if you're going to accord them authority, then you need to hold them accountable for what they say and the work that they do. And so, I mean, guys just need to start getting held accountable. Those lyrics that you read, you couldn't have been more poignant with that, because that's literally the most recent piece of music that he made. This was in 2023. This wasn't in 2015 or 2012. This was less than a year. This was less than 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
When him and Rick Ross put that album out. This was very recent. He's still doing this. That's what D1 was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
D1 is like, you want to do what? I just heard you on this song with Rick Ross talking about what you still doing in the streets.
Right.
Oh, you want to make it better by saying, oh, it's not me who's doing it. Now I got my guys who will do it now. As if that makes it any better. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So what are you, a kingpin now? That makes it better because now you're not the one doing the shooting. You're the kingpin, so you can give the order out. I don't get it, man.
Hey, man.
And you know, I thought about the same thing as well. I thought about whether there is a possibility that he has some kind of mental processor.
You know what I'm saying? He on the spectrum, bro.
Yeah, like does he have some sort of mental processor which kind of prevents him from being able to adequately process what he's saying, to understand that there is a certain segment of the population that's going to take what you say as contradiction based upon what you typically do ordinarily otherwise. You know, like a couple weeks ago, we talked about Joy Taylor and the comments she made where she's like, I want a man who has a bunch of female friends. And one of the things that you said was like, did you run this by somebody before you went and said it?
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with him. Like, clearly he doesn't run anything by anything, by anybody before he hits send. He just shoots off at the hip and he sends it.
Yep.
But the thing is, people, we got to stop believing this stuff. Stop believing these people. These individuals are clown fiesta minstrel shows. That's what they are. Stop according them authority. We got to start holding this stuff accountable. If we want to cancel somebody for saying something and they getting fired from their job in Hollywood, right? right? You know, you got these Hollywood people saying suggestive stuff on the internet, and they getting canceled for it, getting fired off TV shows, right? Why can't we cancel these rappers for the same thing? What the hell is the difference? Somebody explain to me what the difference is. What's the difference?
I mean, honestly, bro, I want to see the come on, like I ain't gonna lie. So I got songs that if I end up liking them when I was a jit, you know, they get locked in to a perpetual forever playlist that, you know, I rock with. And Meek got songs in that. And I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's gonna be hard to listen to that. And one of them, and y'all part my French, bro, but I gotta say this line. It was one of the hardest verses he's ever had too, and he used this suspect ass line. Now I know what he really meant. I was like, what you mean by that? But what did he say? He said a whole bunch of cool stuff before this, but this was his punchline. This was his bar. He said, they call me Mr. Fucker Nigga because I don't need a hoe. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, so this is what I try to do, much like how, you know, the big timers used to do whenever they was rhyming, they'll say some sus stuff, and I'll try to do this mental gymnastics to try to make it straight. I would. You know what I'm saying? And then I remember Lil Wayne, you know what I'm saying? He was like, because this was already when there was kissing rumors, he was like, in your throat, nigga, like an Adam's apple, nigga. I'm like, what do you mean by that, bro? You know what I'm saying? So Meek has said some sus stuff in his bars because these guys can't help it, bro. When you live in that life, bro, when you out here on PJs, you know, PJs with Diddy and Ruben, you know what I'm saying, and Lil Baby. You find this is a wild scene, bro. We living like this is like Black Mirror, bro. Like everything's coming out. This shit crazy. But when you live a life like that, some of your sus stuff gonna come out in your bars. So all that stuff to say is that I am in my 30s. But the songs that I did like from Meek was when I was younger. I really don't know how many people that are really in our cohort and up that listens to Meek for real, you know. I think most of it is people that was like slightly up under us. But I honestly, I would find people, it would be hard pressed for anybody that's an adult that can visualize anything this guy's saying and not feel some type of way when you hear his verses anymore.
Yeah.
Like, so when I hear his stuff, even though the bro was snapping, you know what I'm saying? You know, shining like aluminum foil. Like he said a whole bunch of stuff back then. I was like, man, this guy crazy with it. But now when I hear it, I go, look, bro, it's not that I thought these guys were killing people. I don't want him to be a killer or an actual drug dealer. What I want him to do is stand on business. And if you really about reform, be reformed. And he's not doing that. So the hypocrisy, I just can't deal with it. The Diddy Ruben stuff is wild stuff too. It taints all of this stuff for me. So sorry, Meek. I gave up on you on the last topic. So then the last topic we covered on you. So this one's no different. I'm just doubling down with being done with his ass. This guy's an absolute clown.
I just think as a community, we just got to start doing a better job of holding these people accountable.
When they say sus stuff, lame stuff, like, because that's what I'm trying to get at. There's something in that when they're doing that. And these guys that have been weird, and we go, we'll write it off. You know, R. Kelly, are you weird? We'll write it off. Let's stop writing these people off.
Yeah.
And when these people are being out here on this wild time and they're being a hypocrite, like Meek in this instance, like he said, let's hold him accountable and make him stand on something. Either be an all the way thug and crash out, or be an activist and save lives. But stop playing with us.
Yeah, I'm just not understanding how you can continue to make these songs, but then say that you want to do all of this stuff. Like I don't get it. You know, I don't understand how you can make a public appearance talking about how the music industry profits off of ignorance and puts artists in a position to where they make them make ignorant music, and how we need to change that. But then you proceed to continue to make the same thing. Like, I don't understand it, but I will always point out hypocrisies when they come around. And this is another example of this guy's flagrant,
Flagrant.
flaming hypocrisy. It's unbelievable. And he needs a social media person around him 24/7, and he needs that person around him more than Tyrese does, and that's
Yeah, he
saying
does.
something.
Yeah.
That's saying something because Tyrese needs that bad.
Yeah, he does.
Um, but this guy to me is he's ridiculous, man. He's ridiculous. I have no issues with him as it was if it wasn't for the fact that he's always running his mouth about how he wants to fix and reform things.
Thank you.
Like, but I just don't get it. But I don't know who's falling for this stuff. But anybody out there, if y'all are falling for this stuff from this guy, pick the next person to listen to. You know, because I think the last one time we talked about Benny the Butcher,
Mm-hmm.
because Benny the Butcher was mentioned in a D1 post when they was talking about your top 5 coke rappers, and I said, hey man, I'm not the biggest fan of Benny the Butcher's content, but I will at least not. I'm not gonna go at Benny the Butcher because you don't have Benny the Butcher going on podcasts and attending business conferences talking about police reform and cleaning up the streets and doing better with gun violence. If he was, then he'd be another target of hypocrisy. But at least I'll be like, okay, fine. I'll go ahead and listen to Benny the Butcher without it giving me cognitive dissonance because he's also, when he's not on tracks, telling me that he's this social activist.
Correct.
This guy's just a joke to me, man. This Meek stuff. If y'all fall for this stuff, man, please pick somebody else. Please
Yeah.
pick somebody else.
Seriously, man. And I know there's some real thorough people out there in Philadelphia, and I know he don't really represent y'all. So I ain't gonna judge all Philadelphia. Shout out to Philadelphia, man. Like and
Yeah.
subscribe.
Yeah. All day.